Should I came wrong?
No.
Over the hair.
Do you want me to turn the light off in here? Is it too shiny?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
You can see me okay? Okay.
Μόλις τελειώσεις πάντα στο.
Okay, thank you. Λοιπόν, okay. Να σας πρέπει να φύγετε μετά. Nice. Okay, let's go. Welcome to another Second Life Hangout. On Skype, we have the CEO and founder of Kounoupias Ip, Mr. Nick Kounoupias. Hello.
Guy, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, great. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Looking forward to coming to Cyprus again this week.
We can't wait for that.
Oh.
Well, I know that you're coming to Cyprus. Can you tell us the reason behind your visit?
Yes, well, I am, as the introduction mentioned, an IP specialist. So I specialize in an area called intellectual property. And it's an area I've been involved with for 30 years. And I'm delighted to accept an invitation to come to speak on Friday the 13th, this week, to the deans and rectors of the universities in Cyprus on behalf of an organization called SCIENT, S-C-I-E-N-T. And the purpose of the talk is to explain about how universities can commercialize their use of intellectual property and to assist in fostering the development of spin-off and startup companies in Cyprus from the universities. It's something which universities in other countries have been doing for many years. Oxford University in England has been doing it since 1959. But it's something very new to Cyprus, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to come and offer my expertise to help develop this.
Can you tell us a bit more about this high-level launch?
Well, I'm not sure exactly who has been invited, but I understand that it will be all of the university deans and the rectors. And the purpose is really to bring to Cyprus a knowledge and understanding of what is meant by intellectual property. Universities have huge academic research facilities and obviously very intelligent people. And what they do is to research new technologies and inventions and processes. But the university is a place of learning. It's not an institution which goes out to commercialize, to make money from this invention or this process. And so what it does is either license the technology it creates and possibly owns to other companies to develop this, or in some way it can receive funding to set up a vehicle itself to commercialize it. But either way, Cyprus is a place of great learning and great innovation, and it's about time that the universities in Cyprus got on the world map in exploiting and commercializing their intellectual property. And by intellectual property, I mean any invention, any written creation, could be software, could be something in writing, could be a medical or chemical invention, could be anything.
Okay, great. Your own, what of that see the technological of research findings into commercialized products?
I'm so sorry. Some of your question was lost because of the sound. Would you be able to repeat it for me?
Yeah, of course. What obstacles have you seen in your own experience that hindered the technological transfer of research findings into commercialized products?
Yeah, the obstacles in Cyprus are actually different from the obstacles in other countries. Even though Cyprus has very good intellectual property rights, the actual laws themselves are very good. Unfortunately, the level of development of the laws and the application of the laws is still quite primitive. Really, most of Cyprus's laws in this area have developed as a result of Cyprus joining the European Union. And there's an interface between the ownership of these rights and also European competition laws. And so it's important that in Cyprus, people understand first of all, what the legal obstacles are, because you can only exploit this intellectual property under certain conditions. I don't think it's ever been done in Cyprus. So the first obstacle is to create an understanding of what you can do and what you can't do. The second obstacle, I think, is more of a knowledge obstacle. And it's really the fact that there hasn't been to date in Cyprus a culture of universities understanding, managing, and protecting the intellectual property they have. Many universities probably do not even know what intellectual property is. And in those circumstances, it's very important that the university has an education of what their rights are, what they can do with the rights, who owns those rights. Is it the researcher? Is it the student? Is it the university? Who owns the rights? So first of all, there has to be an understanding of the legal framework. And once you've understood that, then they need to understand what the possibilities are. And you look at the UK, for example, you look at Oxford, you look at Cambridge, you look at Imperial College and the University of London. All of these institutions have a very well established program for developing and investing in intellectual property and creating these companies. And that's something that is completely alien to Cyprus. And so really, we're starting with a blank sheet of paper. Exciting.
Mr. Kounoupias, I would like to ask you something, I think, which is really important, I think. Do you think that after your speech, you are going to bridge that gap?
I don't know whether I personally can bridge it. What really, I don't have more than 25 minutes to speak on this topic. It's actually something that you could spend an entire term lecturing on. It's a very big topic. What was very encouraging to me was that I read, I think only yesterday, on your excellent website, Sigma Live,
Thank you.
an article or an interview with Theo Bafidis. And in that article, Mr. Bafidis was talking about now is perhaps the right time to start investing in startup companies in Cyprus. When you have well-known entrepreneurs like Mr. Bafidis saying perhaps now is the time to start investing in Cyprus, when people like I are invited over to talk about the possibilities, the obstacles, the legal situations, slowly you start to develop an understanding and a culture of understanding. And once the universities see or hear from me the success stories from around the UK, I mean, some of the companies in question have been sold for hundreds of millions of pounds, then I think you get all the ingredients needed to develop this. So I hope that in some small way, my talk will help commence this process. We
hope that too. But can you, do you've got any specific example that you can give us in order to understand?
Well, yes, I mean, there are many examples which I will be giving actually during the talk. During the talk, I'll be giving 6 or 7 examples of spin-out companies from Oxford, several from Imperial College in London. I mean, for example, from Imperial College, there is a company called Varian Medical. £13.7 million was originally invested by Imperial College, together with its funders, to develop this company. It now has a value of about 22 million pounds. And this is a technology to improve biomechanical and blood flow characteristics of stents that we put in the heart and in the blood vessels. And there are many, many examples. One of the very first was a company in Oxford called Oxford Instrument. That was 1959. It's example after example where the university has come up with a technology, someone has invented it, they've agreed between them who should own the rights, whether they should go and seek protection with things called patents, which give monopolies. And once they've got these rights, they can go off and get funders to help invest in the company. Then they decide between them who owns what shares in the company. And then either they license the company and get royalties, or they sell the company and get money. There are many different examples. And what the universities in Cyprus need to do is to hear the different possibilities and then decide which is the most appropriate route for them to follow.
Do you think that it will be easy to do that, or do you think we have to make a step in order to move forward?
That's a very, very good question, actually. The simple answer is that, in my experience, whenever people see the opportunity to make money in Cyprus, we are very quick to understand the possibilities and to engage within them. So that is the good news. The problem, sorry?
What about the bad news?
The value?
The bad news.
The bad news,
Yeah.
there's always bad news, isn't there?
Always, yeah.
The bad news is really because, in my experience, the Cypriot legal system is not yet sufficiently mature in the area of intellectual property to provide the protection which is needed to safeguard the investment that the universities will put in. You know, I've been involved in the intellectual property field for 30 years in England, and I know hundreds of people with my expertise in England, perhaps. Cyprus, if you ask me to name how many people really in Cyprus were knowledgeable about intellectual property, I could count them on one hand. And even then, I possibly will pick two. The understanding within government is also very low.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel there is a complete absence of any understanding of how intellectual property relates with competition laws. So there is a big knowledge gap to overturn. However, what I hope will happen is that when the commercial opportunities become better understood and appreciated,
so basically,
then government support will arise.
Yeah, basically this is what you expect from these high level people to gain from your speech.
Yes, absolutely. But that's not enough. What they need is, once they've understood it, they need then to be able to pressurize the government in Cyprus to put into place the stronger form of legal protection to enable these opportunities to be maximized.
Let's hope that after your speech we are going to move a step forward.
I hope so. To be honest, and to me it's a big achievement to act for the organisation CN to actually even arrange this event. You know,
it will be a big achievement to us too if you help us to move a step forward.
Well, people that know me can tell you that I've always helped successive Cyprus governments in all areas, and it's not the first time I've spoken in Cyprus on intellectual property. In England, I'm actually a government advisor on intellectual property, and I've written some of the laws. I would love to do the same for Cyprus.
That's great. What do you expect exactly?
Do you mean on Friday or generally?
Generally.
I think that there will be a slow but a gradual appreciation within the universities of what they can achieve, especially if I sow the seeds of this understanding amongst them. I think they will then be sufficiently capable to see the possibilities. My concern is that government support and possibly financial assistance in the way of grants or incentives will be much slower in arising because anywhere in the world, governments do not react as quickly as they need to commercial initiatives. What is therefore needed is for the universities to start forming some kind of pressure groups on government, possibly to invite people like me to speak to government directly, to put pressure on them. One of my roles in England is that I'm what's called an ambassador to the UK Cyprus Enterprise Council. And in my role there, I'm responsible for trying to encourage intellectual property investment from the UK into Cyprus. But one of the obstacles we face is a lack of understanding in Cyprus of these issues, which is taken for granted in places like England. So there's a big education exercise needed as well, and I hope I can be part of that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm going to do
End.
another question because I think on the video will be a bit
Rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do that again.
Ask again. Do you want a shorter answer?
No, that's fine. We've got your answer.
Okay.
Because, you know, when I asked you that question, you told me that you didn't hear it well.
And actually, no, I didn't. It's true. There was there was at one point a drop in your. I couldn't hear you at one point.
Yes, it was about the obstacles.
Okay. Now ask again.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, what obstacles have you seen in your own experience that hindered the technological transfer of research findings into commercialized products?
Well, there are a number of different obstacles. In some countries, the obstacles are commercial. In some countries, the obstacles are legal. In Cyprus, the obstacles will be both, because the legal framework is not sufficiently developed to promote technological transfer.
Thank you so much. Τώρα, απλά ξανά μια ερώτηση που ήθελα. Thank you.